All right, guys, welcome back. So you should have read today's announcement. It told you that we were moving into Pythagorean Theorem, and there's a lot that goes with Pythagorean Theorem, so we do have a lot to cover today. So to start, you're going to want to get out that math notebook or your binder or your folder that has your loose leaf paper in it to take these notes, and these are notes you do not want to lose. You're going to use these probably a lot this week. So we have Pythagorean Theorem notes. You're going to want to go ahead and write that. And the way that you say that is Pythagorean Theorem. Okay? Pythagorean Theorem. So for Pythagorean Theorem, we have an objective. And again, if I go too fast, you can always pause and then resume the video when you're ready to move on. Don't ever feel like you have to keep up with me. Just pause it, write, play, pause it, write, play. So the objective with our Pythagorean theorem is to find the measurement of a missing side of a right triangle. And you will notice that I went ahead and I put like a little cloud around the word right. I will put clouds or underline or highlight important vocabulary, math terms, or important pieces in our notes so that you guys know that that's an important thing to remember. So Pythagorean theorem only deals with right triangles. Now let's discuss for a moment what do we know makes a right triangle, because we have many different types of triangles. We have acute triangles, obtuse triangles, equilateral triangles, isosceles triangles, right triangles. We have tons of different types of triangles, scaling triangles. So what makes something a right triangle? Well, the two key factors in a right triangle are that you have two 45-degree angles and one 90-degree angle. Now remember, a 90-degree angle makes a perfect corner. So if you're looking at the corner of a piece of computer paper, you have four 90-degree angles. So what makes something a right triangle is that it will have one 90-degree angle and then two 45-degree angles. So Pythagorean theorem only deals and only works with right triangles. Okay. So we've got quite a bit of vocabulary here. And actually, give me a moment. I'm going to fold this to make it easier. Okay, so here's our first piece of important vocabulary, and that is the term Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean theorem is a theorem, which is a mathematical conjecture, a mathematical statement that says in any right triangle, the sum meaning when you add, of the legs squared, meaning that you're going to take the measurement of something and you're going to square it. You're not multiplying it by 2, you're squaring it. So remember, when we square something, we multiply it by itself again, is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So we'll go over what hypotenuse is because that's a whole nother vocab term. And there's a formula for Pythagorean theorem, which by the end of this, you should most definitely have memorized. And that formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're going to be using that a lot. Now, one thing is with Pythagorean theorem, there's a lot of showing your work. This week is not just about putting down answers. You have to show all of your steps. It's part of the standard. It's part of your grade. So if you just write down answers, you will not be getting credit. You have to show your work this week, and you have to show all of it in order to get your credit. Okay. So the next term is legs. Not the kind of legs you walk on, but similar. So in this case, we are talking about the two shorter sides of a right triangle. Now please remember, right triangles do not always look just like this. They could be turned up like this, they could be turned this way, they could be backwards. And you'll notice there's that right angle, which forms a perfect corner, 90 degrees, and then these would be your 45-degree angles. Okay, so you have the two shorter sides of a right triangle. Now your legs are going to have, as you can see from the formula here, the legs are going to have a variable attached. Now you're going to see sometimes this will be referred to as A, sometimes this will be referred to as B, or this can be B and this can be A. It makes no difference because of the commutative property. So remember, the commutative property of addition states that it doesn't matter if you do 2 plus 1 or 1 plus 2. You're still going to get an answer of 3. So you can switch the 2 and the 1 and still get the same solution. So that applies to this. It doesn't matter which one you choose as A and which one you choose as B, as long as you're talking about the two short sides of the triangle. Very important, okay? All right, well, the next term is hypotenuse, and you say that hypotenuse, just like it's written. Hypotenuse, hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is the longest or the slanted side of a right triangle. So when you have a right triangle, you've got your legs, as we talked about previously. This slanted side right here is your hypotenuse, and your hypotenuse is always C. You cannot change around the hypotenuse. It always has to be C, and it always has to be the slanted side of a right triangle. All right, if you're still writing, you're going to have to pause, finish writing, and then press play when you are ready to continue, because we have more notes. All right, so our last piece of vocabulary is converse. So I'm going to tell you the definition of converse, and then I'm going to explain it because it can be confusing. So the converse is when you are given all three lengths of a right triangle and you use the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared to determine if the triangle is a right triangle or it's not. Okay? So this is different from Pythagorean theorem, because when you do Pythagorean theorem, you are only given two lengths. You could be given the two legs and you need to find the hypotenuse, or you could be given a leg and the hypotenuse and you need to find the measurement of the other leg. Converse, you are given all three side lengths, and then you have to plug them into that formula and determine whether or not it's a right triangle. So if they give you three lengths of 3, 5, and 8, then you would plug them into this formula, and if it comes out correctly, then it's a right triangle. If it doesn't come out correctly, then it's not a right triangle. So that's how converse is related to, but not the same as Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean theorem, you're only given two measurements, either a leg and a hypotenuse, or you're given both legs and you need to find the hypotenuse, okay? Converse, you're given all three and you plug them in to make sure that it's true. So this is just the end of the vocabulary. For the rest of the notes, I have them printed out, and so you're gonna still copy everything I'm doing, okay? Just because I'm done writing in pen does not mean that we are done with the notes. So this is just the vocabulary piece. You're still writing everything in this video. All right, again, if you're not ready to move on, please go ahead and pause the video, and then we will continue when you press play.